Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
I would recommend Angel Care to anybody. They have really helped me regain my strength.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible. Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
I couldn't have survived this without Angels Care.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our producer, Jeff Durall. We're in the studios of Eagle Community Television for a special event with journalist and producer from Swiss Public Television, now retired, Marc Schindler. Marc is responsible for the documentary A Quiet America, and our producer, Jeff Durall, will be showing you some segments of Marc's documentary during the time that Marc and I visit on Community Connection. First of all, Marc, welcome back to Hayes.
Hi, Mike. I'm very happy to meet you so long, 39 years later?
39 years.
39 later. We went in April 1976.
So what prompted the return to Hayes, Marc?
Well, what was personal, you know. For long year, I dreamed to be back here, to meet the people and to film with my camera. It's not official, it's a private documentary.
You're now retired.
I'm retired. I'm 77, yeah.
And you spent 31 years with Swiss Public Television.
That's right.
As producer and as journalist. So tell us about the project. Let's start with A Quiet America. How did it develop, Marc?
Well, it was an initiative of the producer and the director at the time, Jean-Jacques Lagrange. Unfortunately, he couldn't be there. He's 85, he's a little bit tired, but it's okay. And it was on the occasion of the bicentennial of the United States, remember. So we decided to show to the Swiss people a different America, not the people living in New York City, Los Angeles, but in a small community. And we researched and we found a survey on Midtown United States. I mean, a small community, 20,000 people with different characteristics. So we looked for. We went to different places. We went, for example, to Iowa, Tuscaloosa, but it was too close to Europe, I mean, Dutch city. And then we came here in Hayes, Kansas, and we had contact with the director of the Chamber of Commerce at the time, and he explained, and we showed, and we say, that's exactly the city we'd like to be.
So we beat out Oskaloosa, Iowa then for the designation point.
That's right.
Quiet
and
America.
the people there were very angry when we said we choose another city. Why? We are too European, really? I said, we are American, of course, but we prefer Hayes, Kansas.
Too much like Europe then for
That's
Oskaloosa,
right.
so you chose Hayes. And the project then developed from there. Tell us about the background and how it came about. Once you chose the site, then what? Our guide here was the former director of the Chamber of Commerce. He was very cooperative, and we talked with him. You know, at the time, there was no internet. You have to go there to talk with the people. Right now, it's completely different. And he proposed to show different things, and so we went, we researched, and we were there with Jean-Jacques Lagrange for 2 weeks, just preparing, taking contact with people, meeting, and so on and so on. And so we decided to make a sort of their life chronicle, as you wanted to do the film. It was not, that's a Swiss vision on your city. Maybe you don't agree, maybe you probably would do something completely different because you were born here, you know the people. For us, it was a discovery. So the Chamber of Commerce director at the time, do you recall the name?
Jack, I have to check that.
Okay.
He passed away. Jack Willem, that's right. The former colonel of the army, yeah. He was very cooperative.
And so he kind of helped you with the introductions and kind of giving you some ideas about what might be.
Okay, we were free to choose, of course, but he proposed, he said, you have to, for example, we have to contact the farmer, Howard Krause, and to Pete Felton, and other people, and you.
Of course. And remember, we filmed you at the party line. We were anchored at the party line. We went to the Hayes Daily News, of course, and we made, and the film started there at Hayes Daily News. Because for us, it was, a small community, people knowing, people connecting, communicating. It was exactly what we were looking for.
The process in determining then what to film and who to talk to, you got some help from Chamber Director Jack Wilhelm.
That's right.
And then made the contacts. What did you find? What were your impressions? Because you said that Hayes was your first introduction to the United States.
That's right. That's right. At the time, no opportunity to report in United States. I've been to several different countries. You know, I was in the press before, the print press, and I started on television in 1976. Don't know. Yeah, and I start reporting, and I start and have experience in different countries, maybe in Europe and different, but not in the States. Why? I don't know. So when Jean-Jacques, a good friend of mine, tells me, Marc, would you join me for a deep inside America, deep roots? I said, okay, I agree. I come with you.
In other words, to get to spend a lot of time and go in depth then.
Yeah. It was a time when public television got time and money for that. Today it would be impossible. Could you imagine we spent 1 month, a full month here. We researched, we prepared for 2 weeks, and then the cameraman, the soundman came, and we filmed, for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then we did in Switzerland.
You had a full crew, didn't you?
Yeah. At the time it was usual. A director, a reporter, me, a cameraman, and a soundman.
The things you saw, some of the impressions, you mentioned a couple of the people that you met. What were your impressions of Hayes America at the time, Marc?
A quiet America. No, really, a quiet America.
It lived up to the title.
Yeah. No crime at the time, no drug, alcohol, not much. And the way people were driving, for us in Europe, it's completely amazing because we don't drive quietly. Really. And really, the quiet America was immediately what we think with Jean-Jacques. That would be the title.
And it was amazing, some of the video that Jeff is going to be showing while we're visiting about Hayes at the time. Remarkable changes, Marc, in the community, not only from the landscape itself, but also from the traditions, the customs, the things that you caught in the film really did remarkably, and I've heard feedback from many, many people who've seen it already, saying that you really caught the feel and the texture of Hayes at the time.
Thank you. I appreciate professional to professional. I appreciate your. We were surprised by the history of Hayes. Of course, we heard about that. The Wild West and so on. So some of my friends say, you go back to Hayes, you take your gun with you. No, it's over.
You better strap on your 6-shooter.
That's right. And we was impressed by the history of the Volga German, the Volga German. And we didn't realize that so many Germans are coming here and make the history of the city. And I was told, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that half of the population of Kansas, not only Hayes, is of German origin. Is that true? I read that.
Yes, that's very true. As a matter of fact, there was the unique culture of the Volga Germans coming to Hayes and at first not being accepted, and then from there going into the community, becoming a part of the community, building so much of the community from the standpoint of integrating into the overall culture while they kept their traditions as well.
And we even found some people who speak German. Not many, well, all people. My name is German, you know. I speak French, but my name is German. I could speak German. And when I told my name, they say, oh, sind Sie Deutscher oder? I remember, but the young guys don't speak German any longer today. But it's an old tradition. It's an old tradition, and when the Hammerschmidt, the Kraus, all those people, the Felton are of German origin.
And many of those, I'm sure, probably could relate to even maybe some relatives back in, along the Volga River, where Schindler would have come up as a
yes, but
connection.
they don't come from, they come from a very poor country right now, Bukovina. Bukovina is in Romania.
Right.
And, I've been there long time ago as a tourist. And I remember there were poor people, and I could understand why. They moved to the States because at the time the state was paradise.
And Mark, there is still an active Bukovina society in our community of Ellis, just 12 miles west of us here. So it is still active, and the people are still holding to many of the traditions, even though they have, of course, assimilated into the modern culture. So you filmed for about 2 weeks then.
That's right.
Right? Jeff wanted me to ask too, and this is something your producer would know a little bit more, but you took an awful lot of what was then film, right? 16 millimeter film?
16 millimeter film at the time, color film, with no video, remember at the time, yeah. And then it was translated into video. And the editing, Jean-Jacques, as a director, directed the editing. And I remember the editing was probably 3 weeks, something like that. So at the time we have time and money.
And in addition to that, then, you had to boil all of this film down into what became, about an hour and a half documentary?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
So the documentary, once it was shown, what was the reaction from the French people?
It was very interesting because the people who knew America and knew the small city said, "You're right today, exactly what we." And the others say, "It's not America. It's not America. It's New York City. It's Los Angeles. It's Boston. It's not that." It was fascinating between people having a knowledge of the small city and the other one.
Well, you mentioned some things like driving, for example, so much different in Europe as opposed to United States. Maybe not so much now, perhaps, but back then in 1976, of course.
But even today.
Even today.
Yeah, in my part of I live in the southeast of France. You can imagine people are driving like mad. Really. They are dangerous on the road. And here, once again, I could drive slowly. With no stress.
Stop signs, the speed limits.
Super.
Common motoring courtesy then.
Real.
So tell us about the area of France where you live, Mark.
I was born in Geneva, Switzerland, and I live on my professional career there. And I'm married, I have two sons. And 10 years ago, we decided to buy a house in the south for son. Because the cost of living is cheaper, and we'd like to have our home with a swimming pool, garden, and we find that in the small city of Alès. Alès is it's 42,000 inhabitants, so not a large city in comparison with Geneva, which is much more, and the life is quieter, and all the people there are friends right now.
So population about 47,000?
No, for 40,000. 42.
42.
Or twice the importance of Hayes.
But at the same time, gives you a much quieter atmosphere then for your retirement years.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, now what about those sons? Did they ever have any leanings toward work in film or producing? Or?
No, not at all. No, absolutely no. No.
They saw Dad on the road too much.
Well, one is living in Geneva. Well, he got problem. He's an epilepsy, so he has to control that. And the other one is very active in the music industry. He works for a company in Lausanne, near Geneva, and he organized a rock concert with people. Both are completely bilingual. They speak French. They learn German on school because it's a national language. They could not order coffee, but they're completely bilingual in English. That's Switzerland, you know, a small country, 8 million people, 4 national languages, French, German, Italian, and an old dialects, and everybody speaks English.
Ah, amazing. And your wife, was she employed? Did she stay at home?
We met in the print press. At the time, I was working for a paper as an economics editor. She was a photographer, press photographer. And, well, we decided to live together. And then I moved to television, and, well, she quit. But right now, she is very active, but not in the press, not in media, no. She's not interested.
As were not your sons as well.
That's right, that's right.
They wanted to stay as far away, and sometimes I think that's the case with siblings who see their parents and say, I don't want any part of that, no. It seemed like. But as we're taping this particular segment, Mark, you are preparing to leave again, and you're going to meet your wife in New York?
In New York, where you spent 1 week as a tourist. To see a musical, to visit it. Well, we've been several times in New York, but my wife stayed. Now, I'm sorry, I don't like to go with you to Hayes, Kansas, because I don't know those people. It's a long trip. But please, after that, meet me in New York.
And maybe take in a show and some
that's right.
Good restaurants.
Well, good restaurant
like
and so.
As a tourist.
As a tourist, with my camera.
That's kind of nice this time, isn't it?
That's right.
So the documentarian job as a part of Swiss public television that you were involved in, how did that develop? What was your background? Did you think about that in school? How did that develop?
No. Well, I studied in Geneva University political science, and by chance entered the press, the local press, and I spent 2.5 years there, and moved to another paper, and I had no idea being on television. I remember once a friend of mine called me and said, would you participate to a TV debate on the, can't remember, say, okay, why not? Why not? Was it interesting? Well paid, I would say, for no effort. And I have no idea. But I have an old friend on television, and once he called me saying, Mark, I have a job for you. Well, what? On television. Oh, no, I'm not interested. Come on with me. I say, okay, it could be a new experience for a few years. Okay, I spent 31 years here.
Wow.
Yeah. And, well, I made everything except anchoring the news program. But a debate, reporting, I love reporting. I love reporting. Oh, yeah, yeah, everywhere in the world.
And you can draw from a lot of experience in that reporting too, can't you?
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I mean, I discovered on television that you can't work alone. You're with a team, with a director, with a cameraman, with a soundman at the time, with somebody with editing. It was quite new for me because as a print journalist, I was alone, you know, with my tablet, and that's all. So we have to, and I heard and I learned a lot with those people, with an excellent director like Jean-Jacques Lagrange, who was one of the founder of Swiss television in Geneva. And I spoke with cameramen, and those guys say, hey, Mark, slowly. For the press, okay, in 1 hour it's okay. But for us, no, we have to take picture, we have to take time. And so for me, it was a great experience. And I don't regret it. It is part of my life. But it was, I remember some interview I made, not with politicians. They are not interesting, those people, because they are prepared to. But we just man on the street. It was a fantastic experience, meeting those people.
Well, I think that past experience that you brought to this documentary must have been what made it so successful, Mark, because of your relationship to being able to talk with people like Harold Krauss and Pete Felton, and your visit with the mayor, our current mayor, Henry Schwaller. Tell us about the experience of the letter you brought from the mayor of, is it Alice? Is that the pronunciation?
Alès.
That you brought.
Well, it's a funny story. Well, months ago, probably I didn't know that, but my wife did. I have the dream to come back here with my camera.
for personal reason, to meet the people, to meet you.
Just
for
to
example.
follow up
Yeah,
then.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he said, okay, how to organize that? You know, at a time in April '76, we have to go there. Right now, I organize all that with my computer, from my contact with you, contact
Now,
with
we've
other
been
people.
in contact many times
Yeah,
with
many
emails.
times. So I decided to, to bring a letter of my city to Hayes. And a good friend of mine who is in the same tennis club is the director of the information of the mayor. And Christoph, would the mayor, Alice, write a letter for the mayor of Hayes? Okay, Mark. Okay, no problem. So I have a beautiful letter, but I need a translation because probably Mr. Phelps won't understand French. And a niece of mine is American, French and American. So I sent a letter and said, could you please, well, I could have my translation, but not in the words, you know, that people are, well, my English is not bad, but it's not my language. So she wrote, and yesterday I went to Mr. Phelps and gave him, and he said, oh, I'm very happy with that. I'll write a letter for you, Mayor. Please pick this letter this afternoon.
So Mayor Phelps then received the letter in French with the English translation.
That's right.
And Eber has promised to write a letter in return, I believe.
In return,
right?
I would make the translation into French.
So in your visit back again, Mark, what did you find this time about Hayes and the people you've met so far?
Well, I won't say definitive opinion because I'm here only for 3 days. I arrived on Monday and I met a lot of people, but it's a short time. Well, for me, first impression, Hayes is always a quiet America. But, you know, I don't have time to go into detail. I spent a full day with Howard Krause and his family, with Pete Felton, with, well, I will contact with you, with other people, but it's a short time. But my impression is that Hayes changed for the best. You have new equipment, so a new hospital, you have that sort of thing. But they didn't change much. I would be interested to know, and that was my question to the mayor, how Hayes survived the crisis, the economic crisis, and especially would the farmers survive? And it said, okay, yes, we got problem as everywhere, but okay, we survive. And I think it's it's a good place to live right now.
Well, thank you.
Well, I have no intention to move because I like living in France.
Well, I was about to open the invitation there, Mark.
Thank you.
But thank you for the compliment on behalf of the citizens of Hayes. But basically, I think you've caught it because even though there has been expansion, growth, the university has doubled, almost tripled its presentation of students now. We have medical facilities. We have the school systems.
We did that this afternoon. Yeah.
Ah, okay, good. You'll be very impressed with Hayes Med, as it's
Hayes
now
Med,
known.
that's right.
The core of the community, as you've caught, I think, seems to remain the same.
It seems to me. Once again, I won't express a definite opinion because it's a short time. But it seems to me that the core is the same. I mean, the same people and the way of communicating, the way of living together. It's my first impression. It's a good impression, really.
You're retired now. You mentioned tennis.
Yeah.
Does that occupy some of Marc Schindler's time?
No, unfortunately, back pain. I can't.
That's a good excuse. That'll work.
So my director decided to choose me as a treasurer of the. He said, "You are Swiss." I said, "Okay, I'm Swiss. I'm not a banker." He said, "Okay, never mind. I'm Swiss. You are serious guy, so you control the finance."
Okay.
We are a very small club.
The tennis
50
club.
people. Tennis club. 50 people.
Okay. So what else occupies Marc's time now?
Oh, internet. I'm reading all the time on internet. I'm researching. I'm
I have a blog, or I have several blogs, and I started 5 years ago, I think. As a, you know, when you're a journalist, it's sort of virus. You can't. So I write chronicles for my blogs on the actual, well, on France and Switzerland, and sometimes I'm very critical, and I got terrible answer. You Swiss guy, go back to your country. What you doing here? Yeah.
So you get feedback, positive and
well,
negative.
good and bad feedback. I don't mind. You know, I've been in the media for 40 years, so I could accept that.
It just kind of rolls off these days, doesn't it? What about translate? Is it in French?
In French. I don't write in English. I have to, but I have not much opportunity in my place to speak English. You know, so well, I have some English friends, and I speak French, English with them. But otherwise, I speak French all the time.
Is there anything you do different?
What do you mean?
Over your life, over your documentary work?
Oh, yes. I must say, it's quite an experience, you know, being there with my small camera. I have to organize for myself, and regularly I spent mails to Jean-Jacques Lagrange saying what I discovered there. And I realized that I'm free to film what I like, with no pressure. Well,
and nobody standing over you to edit.
Well, I would edit that with my Mac when back in France, but I'm free to choose. I'm free to speak to everybody. I'm free to interview. I'm free. Well, it's a new life.
We thank you, Marc Schindler, for joining us today and telling us a little about how this all came about, the documentary of A Quiet America. Our thanks to our producer, Jeff Durall, who will be putting some of the parts of the documentary in as we visited. It's been a real pleasure to reconnect again, Marc, with you, and we wish you and your wife a fun time in the United States and a safe journey back to...
Thank you very much, Michael. It's a real pleasure meeting you again 39 years later.
At 39 years later.
Good
Marc
luck to you.
Schindler. Thank you, sir. Marc Schindler, our community connection. Thanks for watching.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
There's not any words to describe their kindness.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible. Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
They saved my life.